specific light. So when and where you come to, or when and where you are going from trying to striving, there are 4 stages the Buddha recommended. That is the way we can understand whether I am progressing or not. That very understanding is not limited to yourself. Your co-practitioners, your family members, even the trees and even the animals can understand. So therefore, when and where the striving come into being along these 4 ways of practicing, it has a kind of a vibration, good vibration to the whole world. So even one person is practicing seriously with this striving way, he can have kind of a vibration to the overall world, not only the living beings, even the non-living matter also. So you must not underestimate the few minutes that you are practicing, thinking it is selfish one, or it is only for me to get enlightenment, or only for me to get purified. Of course, that is the main thing. But when it is happening, it gives rise kind of a vibration, so that the whole world can have the benefits. That's how the Buddha became the Samma Sambuddha, fully enlightened being. And that arising or appearance of the Buddha is a auspicious thing, good thing. And his teaching is a good thing. So we now, today in the contemporary day, we are 2,600 years away, and so much of mileage away. So therefore, many people, specifically the born Buddhist, think that Buddha's dispensation is now flat off. It is not more living. So therefore, we have to wait for the next Buddha to appear. That's the way I was brought up till I was about the age 26, 27, 28. I thought there is no Buddhism, or there is no living Dhamma, because everyone is just trying. They are not striving. So when and where that idea crossed and came into me, it came as a message of mindfulness. So I am so grateful for those people introduced me the mindfulness. Then onward I am a born again Buddhist. Completely new way of looking at it. And even then it happened me to, from the trying to striving, 8 years. At the beginning I also just tried. But later, slowly it avenued, and just like arrowhead formation, come into the striving. When it's come into the striving, we call virya in Pali, and energy is the way it is been translated by the scholars. And as far as this energy aspect or the virya aspect is concerned, the Eastern way of looking at it and the Western way of looking at it, as a person I found different. The Eastern people take it very seriously and striving too much, and they go towards self-mortification and self-torturing kind of thing. But the Western people try quick methods to go for quick enlightenment without much sweating, without much striving, without much putting forth energy. So I met two of the greatest masters. One is Venerable Jnanarama, my preceptor. The other one is Venerable Pandithabhivansa Swamin Wahanse from Burma. There are two types. Venerable Jnanarama is very smooth and very soft and very diplomatic in speaking and working. But when I go to Pandithabhivansa Swamin Wahanse to the Panditaram, it's like a factory. It's like a regimentation. Keep on striving. So I was confused what to select and how to go forward. And I think it is a good way. It happened to me. I started with Jnanarama. He was like an elephant. But when Upanishad side is like a lion. You can't play with him. He will jump and eat you, bite you. So this is the difference between the striving. This is the difference between the energy aspect. So when and where we and each of us, I, going to take this Satara Samyak Pradhan Virya, the Buddha says first and foremost is Anupannanam Papakanam Akusalanam Dhammanam Na Uppadaya Chandang Janeti Vayamati Viryang Arabati Chittam Pagannati Padhani. To be a Buddhist or in a practitioner or taken seriously, the first step is you have to keep your stream of consciousness not to arise unarisen, unwholesome things into your stream of consciousness. So this is a very practical lesson, but many people, those who have given a little, just a peep, just go into and look at your mind, closed eyes and try to be with mindful use, no, it's an utterly mad monkey. You can't discipline. So many people, they think, no, my mind is such a bad one, undisciplined one, unruly, but other people are sitting very calm and quiet. I am the only culprit, I can't sit. So many people underestimate, self-accused, telling that I can't think about purification of the mind. Therefore, how to strive to make my stream of consciousness not to arouse unreason defilements. So it's a hell of a task. So we, as a child, I have gone to the Sunday schools. I have gone to, I have learned the Buddhism as a subject. No one in Sri Lanka addressing to this. They are learning Buddhism for a diploma or degree or PhD and teaching others, but they never think about how to make one's own mind not to arouse unarisen defilement. So therefore it appears like a enormous task. But I would like to share with you how to have a positive thinking, how to have some way of striving this enormous task. So whether you agree or not, I would say the next moment arising is 100% pure. So therefore, can you be prepared for the next moment not to contaminate it with the past, not to have future planning, and not to think about the time-wise past and the future, and not to think about other places than your sitting posture and sitting place. So if you can keep the mind prepared, that we call prepared mind. That's what you call apamada, diligence and the vigilance. So whatever the way of life, whatever your background, it's a given fact. The next thought moment is pure. So how can we prepare ourselves, let that purity not to get contaminated. So there we can go back and see how the mindfulness is giving the instructions for us. If we are happy to have something pragmatic, happy to have something verifiable. If you keep your eyes open, there may be a lot of chances for the wholesome, unwholesome thing coming to the eye door as colors and shapes and get contaminated with the present stream of consciousness. And you are in a place like this, so when you are living in a forest, whatever may be, the eardrum also catching all the noises and the sounds, so they also give turbulence. They also give waves to the stream of consciousness. Whenever you are smelling something, whenever you are tasting something, whenever you are touching something, whenever you are thinking, daydreaming, fantasizing, wandering mind, and all the kind of thing, give a kind of repulse. So therefore, let that the next thought moment to be pure, you have to compromise, not with the moral restraint. You have to go a little beyond. You have to compromise. What will happen? Voluntarily I close my eyes. It is not a punishment. It is not a reprimand. It is not someone is going to punish you. You just volunteer. I'll keep my eyes closed. But even then, your mind creation and imaginary things can happen. And you go to a silent place and no one can come and disturb you, or you just ignore the sounds. And these are the two main channels. Often accept turbulence and give troubles to the meditators, and the smell and the taste is usually not giving that much of troubles. And the other one is your body. Your body can't keep in one posture. Always moving here and there. You feel uncomfortable in legs and uncomfortable in your the arms and tilt of your head and the tilt of the back, and therefore it is always changing. So therefore you have to think about not long time, one split second, one thought moment. I am going to take a very comfortable posture and maintain it as such in order to accept and in order to be prepared for the next thought moment to happen without much turbulence of the bodily movements. And the last is the thinking pattern. You are daydreaming, fantasizing, planning, regret about the past and all the kind of thing. They are fairly uncontrollable like this physical body. But you have to keep that occupied. So the trick the Buddha presented for people like us giving a humble trial is to understand, even if the body or your corporeality, even if your muscular body not doing something voluntarily, there are a lot of things happening involuntarily. Even the visual objects and the shapes are not coming and impinging on your eye sensitivity, even you close your eyelids. There may be some thinking or imaginary thing and hallucination and daydreaming, things can happen. Or sounds also, even if you go to a silence, there's a kind, something called sound of silence. That's a datum line. Whatever the sounds it is not available, there's a kind of a sound of silence. And if you are not entertaining the smell, there is a kind of a, there's a kind of a monitoring, you are not dead. And the taste, at least we can say the taste of the saliva. Usually we call it is no taste, but it's a taste. And the last and the least thing of the living body is the breath. That was a result of a great observation and noble quest of the Buddha to be, and he found the breath you can do voluntarily and involuntarily. So there you are asked not to do forced breathing, not to do the forceful breathing, just let the breathing happen. And just let the mind to, let your observing mind to observe that breath. So that mind is occupied. So how many breath cycles you can observe? For many people, beginners specifically, when they go to practice this kind of simplicity, they often do forced breathing. They think, I can't let the natural breathing to happen because I want to have a quick enlightenment, go to quickly into the enlightenment, and all the they start breathing. And even if you wish not, the bodily movements are there, the breathing pattern and the blood circulation and nervous system, there are some basic datum stimuli, so you have to accept it. No, you are not moving the body as such, but the living body is there. So your main task is just to give the life stream, the living body, and focus the attention. That is called adverting of your mind to the breath. I mean, this is one way, this is not the only way, but that is what I thought is the most simple and most down to earth, and it's a more humanistic kind of research. So imagine, after so much of effort, one day you can make sure my mind is with in-breath, not the out-breath, not the sound, not the thought, not the pain. And that when it happens, that very acceptance, that very be present into that understanding is completely new to the human mind. I know I am in the in-breath, and 100% I am with in-breath. So whenever you be aligned with, avenued with, focus with the breath, you feel something wrong like. Because you have never been 100% with the breath, the in-breath. So therefore, your eyes will try to make visual objects, mental, and sounds will, eardrum will search sounds right round, or smell or taste, instead of having the breath. In and out, or in-breath we have taken, and then when the in-breath is finished, mind is jumping again like a mad monkey. So now your task is the same disciplined mind to focus into the out-breath. So how many in-breath and out-breath cycles you can keep? So I am giving an assurance, as far as you are gone and sit and keep other things at bay and keep the in-breath and out-breath, each and every in-breath, each and every out-breath, each and every thought moment, your mind is free of defilements. This may be the first time in your life, or maybe in the whole samsara, you are free from unarisen defilements. But how to verify? Because it is not a religion. It is not a thing that you have learned as a Buddhism. But when it is happening, we simply will say you are mindful. But the thing is, how can you verify that I am mindful? So I am daily learning what is the meaning of mindfulness, what is the definition of mindfulness. People give so much of things. Very often they misunderstand with concentration. This is not concentration. This is just mindfulness, and you are ready, and as far as you are ready, whenever the in-breath happens, you be with in-breath, and no hesitation. Whenever the out-breath happens, choicelessly be aware, this is out-breath. And again you are ready to the in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath. So one thing I can add, one thing I can predict, whenever you go in-breath and out-breath, maybe 5 cycles, you feel so boring, so monotonous. You never feel it is like a meritorious deed. You never feel like meditation. You never feel like it is a religious work. No one will come and second you, telling that you have done a great job. But the Buddha says, this is the biggest wholesome thing you have done. By what means? Doing nothing. To be with the breath, you have to do nothing. How can we put that into a religion? How can we put that into a accumulation of good deeds or bad deeds? Only way you can say is you have not done any bad things. You have done away with wrong things. Sabba papata karana. So this is what we are doing. What we are doing is try our best, in the best of our timetable, and we sit comfortably and shut your mouth up, close your eyes, and try to be under your very nose and see how many breath cycles you can do. So it's a quantifiable mindfulness. And if you wish to improve it and diversify, when and where you see, when and where you feel that I can keep the breath in with and face to face it, just try to see how can you discriminate the in-breath versus out-breath. Here the in-breath means the gushing air through your nostrils inside. And the out-breath means air outwardly. Can you discriminate? Then you are going deep, deep, deep into that quantifiable mindfulness into qualifiable or qualities of mindfulness. So this is how, according to the time given, I can give the way not to arouse, not let to arise unreasoned defilements into your stream of consciousness. It's a possibility. As we discussed, even if you have a cancer, even if you are a criminal, even if you are outcasted person, or whatever your status, whenever the mindfulness become verified, everyone's taste is the same. So I would say, if you wish to know the Buddha's mind, maybe you are another believer, and if you wish to know your founders and the religious master's mind, just see the mind which is pure, not allowing unreasoned defilement to arise, and that I call humanity. We are in other words, we are not human. We are living in the past and the future and think about other people, other places, and it is like a mad monkey. For a mad monkey to come and just be in the present moment, I know it is a difficult task. You can't do it overnight. You can do it by listening to one sermon. But potential-wise, possibility-wise, we all are the same. That is what the Buddha recognized. That's why he, without any hesitation, recommend to the whole humanity, hey darling, you have possibility, you have the potential, please try. But different people take different lifespans to do it and verify. So I cut short for that level. Then the Buddha says, and you must try to get rid of already arisen defilements in your stream of consciousness. Upannana papakanam akusalanam dhammanam pahanaya chandan janeti vayamati viryang arabati chittam paggannati padari. Even though you are keeping the present moment of your life stream or stream of consciousness pure, you have, in Buddhism we have the past life and we have the past deeds and karmic forces. They are there. And beautiful thing is, when and where you cut off the visual impingements, when and where we cut off sound impingements, olfactory, taste, bodily contact and the mind, for the first time all the channels are closed. Just like a video, the TV with 6 channels cut off. And then only then you can understand what are the existing, what are the already arisen defilements in your stream of consciousness. As far as you are adding many things from there as a visual objects and sounds and all the kind of thing, they won't get a chance. But now when you are practicing, of course it must be little longer practice, longer restraint. Then you can understand that there are some psychological wounds, bubbles. They are just plopping up. So they are, if you are not aware of what, if you are not well educated, not with the theoretical understanding, you think other people are disturbing me, they are not allowing me to meditate, and the sounds are made, and Body is not allowing me to do it. Pains are happening, and lot of daydreaming, fantasizing thoughts are happening. So therefore, you will get discouraged. But if you know the second stage is, they indicates how can you make a sound like a torturing thing. How can you make body pain as a torturing thing? How can you make a simple thought as a torturing machine because of your past deeds? So therefore you have to be ready, whatever it is happening, like when you are driving a vehicle in a big way, lot of vehicles running on the other lanes, and they are sometimes going faster and slower. Likewise, you are not the only person. So therefore you can understand there are some character traits. There are some directed dispositions. Unless otherwise you are practicing and you are successful in the first stage, where just to keep the stream of consciousness, not to arouse unarisen defilement, then you can see already arisen thing. So it is like looking at your horoscope. It is like that you are exposed to a X-ray or cardiography, ECG, EEG. You can understand what is happening when there are no present moment impingements. So this part is highly related with your psychosis or your psychiatric situation. Many people, they don't have personality, they don't have preparedness, they don't have theoretical understanding, they don't know how to tackle with these things. Often they find fault with telling that whenever I am going to meditate, the dogs are barking and flies are coming and resting on my eyes and my body is shaken and people are coughing and trains are running and the planes are going and the trains, all the kind of thing. So far it was not a problem. You was in the same house, but the train was going even above your head, it doesn't matter. Because body is, but the mind is scattered. But now when it's come to the point where there are no unarisen defilement, all these things become, because your senses become very, very sensitive. So therefore at that level you must have other co-practitioners and interviews and presenting your reports, and that is the part highly related with the communication. This communication is not like the normal communication. You have to be very short to the point, short and sweet. Just see, just report what happens. Don't report what you should do, what you expected. But that language is not existing on the earth. Whatever you are reporting according to your liking and disliking, and what your belief system, everything is going to happen. So therefore it has to have a long dialogue, a discussion with the senior practitioners, and then to understand already arisen defilements are happening whenever they get a chance. So when and where that is being detected, when and where this is being accepted with the choiceless awareness, it appears like counseling. It appears like free association. But the difference is there are no counselor. You are the counselor. You are the patient. Mindfulness is the medicine. So therefore it becomes a very short cycle. You can understand what happens when I keep the basic restraint of my organs, and there you can understand. You have not given a thought on that. So these two are very, very clear whenever you become mindful, and you must be lucky to have fellow meditators and senior meditators, and you must have the trust. When I give my cut across about my thinking, they will not misuse it, they will not lose my confidence and use it against me. So that's one of the way, the counseling and the free association, you have to make sure the patient get the confidence. Likewise, to get that confidence, Buddha did so much of paramita, And whenever something happens, you feel like go to the Buddha and say, Bhante, when I am meditating, this kind of thing happens. Some things are very, there are traits, patterns. But long time only you have to understand. But the teacher, if not the Buddha, if the other teacher is very sincere and very openly listening, he or she can understand what a kind of a person he is. And it is kind of not a purposeful revelation, but it is just vomiting. It is just coming out. So there should have so much understanding. That's what the monastic life means. So you have to report regularly, or otherwise you can have bookkeeping. You have your journal maintenance, and later sometimes you yourself can do it. And this is how so much of sutras or discourses came into being. We have standard 15,000 sutras. They are all, some people practice and just go to the Buddha and say, this is what it happened. Some of are very, very blameworthy, some are very praiseworthy. The Buddha is just give the interpretation. So this is part of it. This is about the defilements, unarisen and already arisen. Once that you come up to that level, that your mindfulness is coming to a very, very helpful, and come to the maturity whereby you start to live. Otherwise you are just acting. You are just behaving in front of others. You live on other eyes. But when you understand the unarisen defilement and already arisen defilement, we all are in the same boat. Don't hide it. There is nothing called private and confidential. We have the Buddha's dispensation. We have advanced practitioners. You go and express it. There you can see, once that you go on through, you can understand how you can help others. Not by giving food and all the kind. I mean, they are good. But if you can share Dhamma with others, because all the people are very busy. They have responsibilities and work within the 24 hours, enough for 25 hours. They don't have time to sit. They don't have time to go and discuss with the teacher. They don't have write journals. So therefore, this is the way of living, that is we call livelihood. So that livelihood is the characteristic thing, is the monkhood, we call Sangha. And Buddha given the monastic rules, and then Dhamma and practicing, whereby you can understand the people are completely in lost. So if you wish to help someone, first and foremost, you must make your stream of consciousness clear. When you are in trouble, when you are in the chaotic situation, if you are going to do help, you are utterly messing the situation. So Pandit Sayadaw used to say, imagine a Supreme Court judge. He has to decide this party and that party. But if he has no pure mind, his decision is always with the human error. But unlucky enough, not a single Supreme Court judge is meditating. They are very busy. I am sorry if you are anyone is here, judges and lawyers and kind of thing. But they don't have time. They are deciding about the others' matters. But they don't know who am I. So therefore, if you wish to help someone in the spiritual way, in an advanced way, first and foremost you have to see it is like if you wish to see a reflection on the water, water must be calm and quiet. Then it is reflecting. If the water is bubbling and it's full of mud and full of colors and full of frills and thrills, you can't see the image. So present day knowledge is something like that. So therefore still, it is so, never mind, it's still. Whenever you develop the mind up to the point, I am not talking about the whole day, I am not talking about the whole hour, I am taking one split second. When the mind becomes clear, you can understand how to help people. That is what you call anuppannānaṁ kusalānaṁ dhammānaṁ uppadāya tan chandan janeti vāyamati viryang ārabhati cittam paggannāti padāti. It is a natural thing, the Buddha says. Once the mind come up to that level, you feel such a compassion. You feel helping other people, but you are not rushing to find the ways and means. You just study the question. You study the magnanimity of the situation and let the nature to happen. You become just a mediator. You are not going to give the material and money and all the kind of thing. Instead, you are doing what is most appropriate. So that is when that is happening. That's why I am telling, if one is practicing, if one is trying their best to keep the mind pure, they can't hide it. Whenever a question happens, they give a fair judgment, impersonal. The present day, I think in England as well as in Sri Lanka, we have a Roman Dutch law. And that's the way your law deciding. So I asked one of the lawyers, he is now earlier he used to come here and give talks, and he says, why judges are wearing that kind of this? Because earlier they had the court under the trees, and it's very windy and it's very cool, and thereby the judges are closing their ears. And now even in the hot areas, they have the black coat and the same thing. They are just repeating like parrots. They have no idea about how the society must go, how the justice must happen. So instead, imagine Buddha, imagine an enlightened being. Whenever it happens, they are being presence. It's like you are just in front of a mirror light. You are just in front of a calm and quiet water the body, and you can see your face. You can't hide it. So this is how human can help humans. First and foremost, you have to purify yourself. And danger is there. When and where you have that kind of a thing and go on to helping others, you may hinder your progress. Just doing others this thing. Therefore, you have to make livelihood. You have to make your way of life. Yes, you do it with the others, with that kind of understanding, but you are leading a life day by day. You try to keep your stream of consciousness free of defilements as much as possible. You are not completely ghost is possessed and living on that tree. Buddha has taken that. So daily he goes to the village to get his arms rounds, get the arm bowl filled. And then he come back to the solitude place under the tree with limited number of disciples he is living. Then the commentator is asking why he is going to the village. That is to, out of compassion, the people will serve something and he will say, you will be blessed and thank you very much for food. As far as you are given, you are sapa bala, you are gaining. Once the bowl is filled, he is no more living with people. It's going back to the forest. Because celestial beings expecting him to have a consultation. And going forward is out of compassion, coming back is out of wisdom. This is the way he prepared his timetable. 45 years, this is the first and foremost human being imposed a timetable upon oneself in the human history. Because Buddha has nothing to discipline himself because he is an omniscient person, but still setting an example for people like us. So therefore, even if you learn the art, how to keep the stream of consciousness free of defilement from the present and the past, you must understand you can't hide it. Your presence is blessing for people. But you must know the limit. You must go back to your furtherance of the same thing, because you are not fully liberated yet, but you know the glimpse, you know the silver line in the dark cloud, and you see the end of the tunnel. So you have to maximize it, thereby the already learned things through your ways and means, through your spiritual life. You have no one to ask, because all others are with the other directed mind. They are extrovert people. That this particular person we are exemplifying is an introvert. He is thinking about one's own refinement, purification, refinement. And we are refining and purifying with respect to the people, with respect to the suffering, with respect to the friction. But other people they have no idea, they don't know how to do it. They are overwhelmed by the suffering and the friction and all the kind of thing. Therefore, he make use this as an in vitro example. But in vivo, he take him and he maintain his livelihood. So therefore, when I am associating with Venerable Jnanarama, my first preceptor, is always serious, never talk, do everything very slowly. I see very mindfully, very silently. So sometimes I take a chance and look at him, just like a mother is look at his or her baby. I so silently doing. One day I asked Bhante, now why you are disciplining yourself? Now, because you are an achieved person. Still you are disciplining. No. Even after the death, I must left behind a good role model. Others to follow. That's why the Buddha, while he was living 45 years, he himself had a silent retreat. He went to the forest. And Mahakassapa is a very meritorious and very spiritual person. Still he observed all the 14 Dutagas. Well, already he has done, he has jumped above the bar, but still maintaining. Because setting example. This is how all the 2,600 years it came. So therefore we are very lucky. We have the map, we have the instructions, and not only that, we have trod a fair amount of our difficult journey. But we are always telling that my parents are not allowing me enough time, my wife is not giving enough time, my husband is not giving enough time, my children not giving enough time, government is not giving. No, that is none of their business. So therefore I wrote a book, Be Mindful and Mind Your Own Business. You will not be agree with me, I know. It's a little harsh. But we think in the society and socialized way, no, it is very, very selfish that you must help others. And the Buddha says, if you are bogged down in a boggy place, you can see 1,000 and 1,000 people struggling. So if you try to raise someone else, if you are not in a dry place, you also will get sunk. First and foremost, get out of the mud and help others with the strategic ways, rather than while you are in the mud, while you are in the bog, try to escape, try to rescue others. It's called the idiot way of compassion. So whole world is full of that. Instead of one's own refinement and one's own purification, they think about, and many people appreciate that also. That is the way Sri Lankan monks are got corrupted. I am a Buddhist monk. Please believe me, I am 32 years senior. So even before the ordination, I look at them in a way, as a monk, I am looking at them in a way, and I try my best to mind my own business. So when I am traveling and all the kind of thing, you can suspect, because that I have gone to the helping others kind of thing. So it's a must, because to understand the magnanimity of the suffering, the different multivarious way people are trying, I must go with them and be with them, but I must know the limits. And then whenever necessary, I must have my own time, my own solitude, and mind your own business. So let me finish the talk with that remark. Be mindful and mind your own business. Thank you very much for listening. Yes, 5 minutes available if you have any complaint or blame or question or any. You have any?
The last time I observed that they don't have anything.
So if there are no questions, he's asking to open the session for the questions, but if there are no questions, we will share the merit with all the seen and unseen beings and end the session in a traditional way. Hope there are no questions. Okay, we are going to recite the traditional stanzas. Those who know may follow, others may listen attentively. Ittavata ca ammehi punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata ca ammehi sambatam punya sampadam sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata ca ammehi sambatam punya sampadam sabbe satta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasatta ca bummatta deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkhantu sasanam. Akasatta ca bummatta deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkhantu desanam. Akasatta ca bummatta punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkhantu mang parang. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattya. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattya. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okasa vandami